Hello there, and welcome to the drive-thru. I'm your host, Tony Teeve. We'll take you up to the top of the hour as we break down a lot of the games going on tonight for bettors. We'll have some picks. We have all the pick dogs with us tonight, and we'll give you a peek at them now as they're in the green room ready to give out those plays. This show is pretty much driven by our guests. All our handicappers on pick dogs will come in with some plays. And of course, today I'm joined by Dana Lane, my co-host over in Las Vegas. And Dana, how you doing this afternoon? Hello, Dana. What a way to start, huh? We started off with Dana Lane and we just lost his connection. You can see it right there. So hopefully we can work to get Dana back on our screen here. Of course, guys, as we talked about here tonight, we've got an NBA game to bet on at the top of the hour, 2 NHL, and 11 games from Major League Baseball that you can bet into. And of course, I was going to talk with Dana earlier. I don't know if you guys heard the news about the Big Ten possibly looking to play. So we'll see if that's a possibility. We're looking here at November, but we've got games on the board for college football this week, and of course the NFL a week from Thursday kicks it off. So of course we'll have that full coverage here on the drive-thru, 6 p.m. Eastern time here on our Pick Dogs and Sports Chat Place YouTube channel, and of course throughout all Facebook and Twitter as well. And of course we welcome your comments over at the Pick Dogs YouTube page, as we are live every day at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And why not let's go ahead and get the show started with the pick, and we'll go over and bring in Alex Smart. You can find Alex over at Pick Dogs. Alex, how you doing this afternoon?
Doing good. How's everybody doing?
Oh, I can't complain. I know you follow this NHL season as well. It's kind of weird watching this hockey in August in the summer. It's almost like it's the Olympics.
It's it sort of throws you off a little bit. Usually the season starts in a month, but here we are. It's Stanley Cup time. So,
yeah, Stanley Cup time, no doubt about that. Of course, let people know a little bit about your background. I know you're pretty much a professional bettor first, handicapper second, because you move a lot of money around. You've done for several years, and of course, you have a unique perspective because you make your own numbers and you're really looking for value out there in the betting line.
Absolutely, it's all about value now. There's such a small edge. You really have to pay attention to value, and there's a lot of work involved in it. But it is a business, it is a job, and it's work. That's all there is to it.
Yep, no question about that. It's work. I know we're gonna get a pick here from Alex this afternoon, evening. I know we're gonna look here at a game from with the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers, and looking at the current line in this one, we find that it's Young and Urias. LA a big favorite here, laying 220. Total sits here at 8.5. Things have been tough on this Diamondbacks team. Their offense has just been crushed, and Urias, well, a little better at home, but he's had his issues. Mitch and I have talked about him because it looks like he was touted to be maybe the next Fernando, maybe a number 2, but he's really trying to work his way into the rotation. He's been a reliever, but you've got to play on this game.
Yeah, I've got to play on this game. It's two lefties here, and we all know Arizona's offensive problems all season long, and LA's been even inconsistent against left-handed pitchers this year, and like I said, we've got two left-handed starters in there, and both teams are under the Mendoza line against left-handed hurlers, southpaw starters, I should say. And at 243 for LA and 217 batting average for Arizona, and I figure these are decent pitchers. They're gonna go somewhere between 5 to 7 innings. I'm hoping, and I'm betting on, obviously. And it's interesting to note on top of that Arizona on the road this year has gone under 8 straight times with totals between 8.5 and 10. And LA has a tendency of going under long-term under those numbers, 38 and 16 over a 2 or 3 year period, a couple year period at least. So, we're talking under all the way here, and an extended game.
And under in this one between Arizona and the Dodgers, of course, this Diamondback lineup has been really, really terrible. I mean, they're really having difficulty getting runs across. And one thing you like is this LA bullpen. They've been really outstanding, especially at home.
Yeah, that's what Arizona has been struggling with, their bullpen, and that's the fine factor here. But my number is closer to an 8. So if we get an 8 here, it's a medium-sized play, 8.5. It's a much better, what we'll say is a home run play.
Absolutely. All right, we're joined here with Dana Lane. Alex coming in on the under. Dana, just your thoughts here. I know. You're pretty close to Arizona and Phoenix out there and in Vegas. What's your thoughts on this Diamondbacks team? Really disappointment this year. We had him. I thought we had him there. In and out, hit and missing. Oh, we've tried to get Dana on the show, and we've had some technical issues there with Dana. But I got to go. I'll deliver it back to you, Alex. Your thoughts here on this Diamondbacks team? It's just a lot of expectations, but they really haven't come through this year.
No, they haven't. And their bullpen's not there. Their hitting's not there. Starting pitcher is not bad. But you've got to get runs across the plate. And if teams are just loading up on you because they're going to keep throwing left-handers at you in a very shortened season, you've got some problems. And they have some real problems against left-handed pitching. So, that's why I looked at the under here, and it just makes a lot of sense. And they're not scoring. I mean, any team that's not scoring, you've always got to look at an under. You always do, because the way the lines makers are making these numbers, it's based a lot on, of course, the full scope of the game. But, no matter what, I'm old school, and no matter what anybody tells me, this game is still about pitching, and that's the way I look at it. Yeah,
no doubt about that. All right, speaking of old school, I want to get your thoughts here on this NBA game. If you have it up, But I looked at this total. And it's 220.5 between Utah and Denver. Some of the people on the Pick Dogs YouTube channel wanted the thoughts here on this Utah-Denver series. And it's Game 7. And, the old school thinking here is Game 7s go under. You always bet Game 7 under. But as we've talked about before, Alex, this is a lot different NBA than we've seen in, even 10, 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, you can't use that. You have to go with the flow, and the flow has definitely changed the opposite direction. You can see it. You said earlier, you were mentioning that teams just don't give up. Coaches don't want to give up. They don't want to look bad. And, when you've got a wide open game, this easily could swing one way or another way tonight. And then you've just got bucket after bucket of wide open basketball. I mean, that's the only thing that scares me about it. It's not the actual number, because under normal circumstances, to me, that 220 it's not a bad under bet, really. The way I look at these two teams, I know they played a little bit different here, but Utah's defense is like out of this world sometimes, and but we'll see tonight. Anyway, 220. I've got a good friend that put big money on the under tonight.
Wow, that's what moved this line down from an open of 220.5. Dana, we talked about this before the show, this Utah-Denver total, how we've seen it go down 3 points from the open in a Game 7 situation.
Yeah, he's exactly right about that too. I mean, I kind of would look towards the under in this as well, although I won't be involved in it. But 220 is a lot of points for a Jazz defense that has been playing extremely well, even in the losses. Probably every game you could look at Utah defensively and say, yeah, I mean, that was a decent effort by them. But on the other hand, from a Utah standpoint, you have Donovan Mitchell is averaging almost 40 points a game. Jordan Clarkson's 18 points a game, and there's a lot of offense on that side of the ball as well. I mean, if this is a blowout, then I definitely think you got a shot at getting the under. But if this game is close, I think it's going to be up and down transition basketball, and then we'll probably blow past that total.
Yeah, that's what you got to worry about, of course. If there's any type of separation, even a 10-point lead with under a minute left, you see the fouls, right? You're going to see fouling. Like Alex talked about, Dana, these coaches, they don't want to look bad.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I tend to stay away from NBA totals a lot. They're so unpredictable. I mean, I know a lot of guys really have a good nose for that sort of stuff, but I think this number is right about where it should be. I had it at 221. I think it's right about where it should be. So there's plenty of other options on the board rather than get involved with I don't know if we're going to have a Utah team that's going to score 130 points and definitely put this game over the total, or that we're just going to have a defensive basketball game with both teams just scared to lose.
Yeah, exactly right. Alex, we see over at Pick Dogs, you've been at this a long time. I know you have a lot of followers. What do you have going on right now over at Pick Dogs?
Right now, Pick Dogs today, it's actually, a limited schedule. I just didn't find a lot of value, a lot of edges, so just Major League Baseball and that Utah Jazz game, Denver game tonight, game 7.
Should be a really good one. Any your thoughts here on this NHL and the NHL playoffs? So we got 2 games at the top of the hour. We have some closeout games here. Any thoughts here on these?
I think people have to keep a close eye on the Islanders. And, we were really down on Tampa Bay, the Bolts. We said, hey, man, this team sucks. They're up. They did look like a headache. I wonder if somebody in that bubble watched us attack them that day. Because I'll tell you, since that time, I mean, they've come to life. And now the chip on the shoulder is the other. I said it was Boston with a chip on their shoulder. It's Tampa Bay that's got a chip on the shoulder. The Islanders should go against Tampa Bay soon. And I'm betting it's not the West that takes the Stanley Cup this year. It's one of those 2 teams from the East.
All right, Alex Smart here on the drive-through, guys. We have a lot of picks coming up. Alex, as always, great having you on the show. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you in a couple days.
You too, Tony, Dana. Take care. Bye.
All right. Thanks a lot, Alex Smart here on the drive-through. Bringing Dana Lane back with us here on the show. We'll have a lot more picks coming, guys. We'll take it to the top of the hour, covering a lot of baseball and more. And Dana, I want to get your thoughts here on this Big Ten, thinking about restarting their college football season. We're looking at end of November. I mean, how does this all play into the bowls, into the Rose Bowl, and schedule-wise, especially when some of these big conferences are going to start in September?
Well, that's $1 million question, isn't it, Tony? I mean, we talked earlier, and I said, I don't know how this is going to affect bowls. I mean, we have enough bowls right now where they struggle to find teams to be eligible to play in their games. I don't know how this affects the national title. I'm sure they're going to find a way to implement all of those because of the financial aspect. But I think the Big Ten and maybe even the MAC to a certain degree, I think they kind of jumped the gun on this. I mean, we've seen new COVID cases go down over the last month and a half, go down significantly. We were at a point where COVID cases were well over 75,000, and now we're ticking around 33 a day. Now, that's still a lot of COVID cases for sure, but when you have these gigantic stadiums, say like Michigan and Ohio State, I mean, especially Michigan's, I mean, you can't put 30,000 people in there safely. I think at this point that we can, and I think, the Big Ten probably should revisit this, and I think that they should get going at some point. But just to cancel the football season, I thought was a little bit quick.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And I got a question here in betting wise. How can you bet early on these games? Especially with COVID. How you get a super spreader. We've seen a lot of these college kids. They like to party. You get a handful of players. You get an offensive lineman, a couple of offensive linemen, quarterback. How can you put early money on these games?
You can't. I mean, listen, I pride myself, Tony, on being as disciplined as I possibly can be. Yes, there's college football games on the docket this weekend. No, I don't need to be involved. I need to watch a little bit and know exactly what I'm dealing with. I tend to do that anyway. I don't go full bore into week 1 and say, hey, college football's here, let's roll. I mean, this to me is a 365 days a year endeavor. So it doesn't, just because it says college football on the board doesn't mean I have to jump right in and be involved because it's football. They don't pay you any more for winning a football game over a baseball game. And the bottom line is you have to determine whether or not you're in it to make money or are you in it for the actual thrill and excitement of having something to go along with your game. But as far as it is very important, Tony, it has no bearing on whether it's COVID or not. It's your first week. It's very important to watch these coaches' press conferences, to actually, a lot of these websites or a lot of these colleges' websites will have their practices right on their websites, or at least clips, or there's a lot of things that can allow you to become more familiar with these programs. But I would say week 1, whether it's the NFL or college football, just take it easy. I mean, we've been winning in baseball. Why do we got to stop now just because the football calendar starts?
Yeah, no doubt about that. Here on the drive-through, joined by Dana Lane. Guys, free picks coming. Nothing but free picks from our pick dogs, cappers. We got a lot of them here in the green room. We'll get to them in just a second. Come bring it back, Dana Lane. Now, Dana, you're up here. We got a game here, Blue Jays and Marlins. Is this Money Mayweather? No, it's Julian Mayweather against Hernandez. Marlins favored. You don't see that very often, but this year they're favored here in this one, and a total of 8.
Yeah, I mean, It took a while. I mean, what was it, an hour ago that Julian Merriweather was named the starter, and we've seen him before, even though he's thrown just over 5 innings this season. Of course, he won't go deep in this game. It's going to be one of those the bullpen games. But the last time he's really thrown a lot of innings was probably 2017, and he's spent a lot of time in rookie ball. He's played in the Appalachian League. He played in Arizona Fall League. So, he is recovering from an oblique strain that he had a month ago. So kind of take that in mind. But I love the moves that the Marlins made. And I love that they went out and got Starling Marte. This is a kid that is a 5-tool player. And if he actually keeps his head on straight and plays the game hard, which was always his issue with him and Clint Hurdle in Pittsburgh, he is going to be a major addition to the Florida Marlins. And Tony, I don't know if you know me or my style, but man, I love to look for that plus money. So I'm going to be on the side of the Marlins minus the 1.5 plus the 175. To me, I think there's an excitement that is going to be in that locker room today or in that clubhouse tonight because Marte is in that lineup.
No doubt about that. Of course, the Marlins in there in the hunt. And, of course, Toronto, we've got to look at the other side here. With Toronto, they put up some offense. They're a team that averages nearly 6 runs per game over their past 7. They've won 10 of their past 14. Looking here at the Marlins side, we talked about Toronto, and this is a team that's on the rise.
Yeah, the only thing about it is I think sometimes we tend to think of Toronto's offense and put them in a little bit higher standard than they might be. I think they're 23rd in Major League Baseball in hitting right now. Of course, Bichette is out of the lineup. So Bo Bichette was out of the lineup. I did like the acquisition of Jonathan Villar, but with Jonathan Villar leaving, who was a guy that they're paying him a lot of money to not really get a lot of production from him, although he can play a lot of different spots. But John Burdee is going to be in his spot. So I think that, it really wasn't a big loss for the Blue Jays. I think they're going to be kind of the same exact team. They didn't really make any big splashes, but tonight's pitching matchup with Hernandez and Merriweather, I think that is a complete wash. And that 175 price to me, Tony, is just something that I can't pass up.
Yeah, can't pass. Yeah, I got to make sure I get it right. Merriweather, not Mayweather. A lot of people are going to make that mistake.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot
Merriweather.
That's right. All right, Dana, what do you got going on at Pick Dogs? I know you put a lot of preparation into your plays. You were very good in college basketball, Major League Baseball. Would you say those are your 2 strong suits?
Well, they are now. I try to be strong in everything, but when we get on a run, I try to ride it. And, of course, Major League Baseball has been absolutely fantastic, but there's a lot of work that goes into that. And believe me, my wife will tell you I put a lot of time into making sure that we give out some winners. We got 3 games up right now, 2 of which are going off very soon. And then your get-out game winner tonight is also up there in the Arizona Dodgers game.
All right, Dana Lane, check him out over at Pick Dogs. He's got some plays up there, and of course, you make some money with Dana. All right, Dana, as we continue here on the drive-through, right? More free picks coming. We'll take it at the top of the hour when we have 1 NBA, 2 NHL, and 11 baseball games to bet on. And let me get your thoughts here on this Vegas Vancouver game. It looks like a closeout here for the Golden Knights.
Yeah, it really does. And I'll tell you, one thing I love about the demeanor of the Golden Knights from day one, they have always had people, and I mean people, not just players. I mean everybody in that organization has had a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. And I think Pete DeBoer, if you're watching his press conferences, you can smell and you can see that he can feel that this team can win a Stanley Cup, which is something that has eluded him throughout his career. He's very on the edge of being cocky. He's very focused, and I think they'll close this game out tonight. You are getting a little bit of plus money on the minus 1.5, but for a team in Vancouver where Brock Besser has been non-existent. Matter of fact, their forwards, guys that you thought would be the leaders headed into this series, have been non-existent. Tanner Pearson just has matter of fact, combined, those two only have 1 point in 4 games. So Vancouver, to me, depth-wise, cannot match up against Vegas. Even when you're talking about that fourth line, when you're talking about the Reeves line, even they can put up 1 or 2 points a night, and you can lean on them to do that. And when a team can roll 4 lines out there consistently and not really worry about matchups, those are the teams that win Stanley Cups.
Interesting. You mentioned the puck line. We're starting to see these coaches pull the goalie early. So in a 1-goal game, let's say Vegas up 1, we could see 6-on-5 hockey here. And a possible empty net on the other side for Vegas. In the last 3 minutes of the game, is that something we can see? Even if it's a 2-goal margin, we're seeing these goalies get pulled quickly.
Well, of course. I mean, I thought maybe we were going to get there last night with Tampa Bay with a 2-1 lead over the Bruins, but the Bruins tied it up and forced overtime, so didn't quite get the goal, the puck line there. But yeah, I mean, especially late in these games, it is. If you like one side, and especially if you like the favorite, there's no reason why you're not playing them on the puck line. I mean, certainly we're not going to lay 235 with Vegas. So if you like Vegas, the puck line is the only option. But to me, there is just too much depth on this team. And I think Vancouver played the best hockey that they could possibly play against the Golden Knights. And that first period tonight, if Vancouver does not get ahead early, I think the Knights win and win easy.
All right, back here on the drive-thru. I'm Tony T with Dana Lane, and so we're breaking down the card here from Major League Baseball, NHL, NBA. A lot of games to bet on tonight. We got 14 games from the major sports at the top of the hour, and we got more free picks coming. Let's go ahead and bring in a puck dog. You can listen to Chris Ruffalo in the morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Check that, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. I gotta get this right. The show's now at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. He's joined by Rod, Brian Bittler, and Mitch on the Pink Dogs channel. And of course, how you doing this afternoon, evening, Chris?
I'm doing well. I'm looking forward to the evening slate tonight. We got a lot of great stuff going on. We got those 2 hockey games that you guys just mentioned. I'm really looking forward to those, especially being one of the puck dogs.
Absolutely, being one of the puck dogs. Chris Ruffalo here, join us here on the drive-thru. Of course, Chris, you're going to be looking at this Tigers and Brewers game. That will be first pitch 7:40 Eastern time. Fulmer and Lindblom, boy, are those blue chippers there. We've seen Milwaukee a big favorite. Total sits here at 9.5.
Yeah, I mean, if you told me at the beginning of the year that the Tigers were going to be 2 games under 500 or anything better than that at this point of the season, and they're sitting at 500 right now, I probably would have thought you were crazy, especially with a 5.51 team ERA. You got guys like Matt Boyd, Ivan Nova. They brought up Casey Mize and Tariq Skubal. All these guys with an ERA up around 6 or 7. And now you got Michael Fulmer, who's got an 8.79 ERA. I still don't think he's back from Tommy John, and he's being kind of pushed back into the water a little bit. Kind of looks like that kid when you see him trying to learn how to swim. He's got the floaties on, but he's trying to not let go of the edge of the pool. They're trying to get him in there, but he's not ready. On the other side, Lindblom, again, an inflated ERA. This outing against the Tigers may benefit him a little bit because, the 12.6 strikeouts per 9 innings. But the Tigers also have the highest strikeout rate in majors. But you know what? They've been playing well right now. So I'm going to take the over here, but I think this one easily hits double-digit runs.
All right, joined by Chris Ruffalo going over the total in this Brewers contest. And Tigers, Dana, I'm going to ask you a question here about this Milwaukee team. What's happened to this team?
Well, but it's easy to see what happened. You have guys that you would normally rely on barely hitting over 200, and even though they had a decent series as far as the results against the Pirates, I mean, Josh Hader came in and blew a game, and that was a game that he really needed to win needed to clamp down on the Bucks because he was a guy that was being shot by the Milwaukee Brewers. I mean, he was their big piece, and a lot of guys were interested in them. Of course, Milwaukee wanted a lot for them, and rightfully so. But I think Josh Hader's missing a little bit off of previous seasons, and I think everybody up and down that lineup. I mean, Braun's not hasn't hit well. Yelich hasn't hit well, even though he had a home run over the weekend. I mean, these are guys that smoked it, which they thought was going to be a guy that would come in and they knew they were going to get a lot of strikeouts with him, but they also thought they were going to get a lot of run production from him as well, and that hasn't happened either. So when you're the Milwaukee Brewers and you're nose to nose with the Pittsburgh Pirates and you guys can compete on the same level, that's telling me your organization is as bad as Pittsburgh, and that's not a good place to be.
Yeah, but I might fix those hitting woes is facing Michael Fulmer. That might be the key there for that over coming in. Chris, your thoughts here on this Tigers team? You know, they're hitting now. We're looking at the past 7 games, 335.
I mean, you know, Miguel Cabrera seemed to have turned back the clock a little bit. I mean, he's starting to hit well again. But they have lots of solid young pieces. They've got Candelario. They've got Jacoby Jones. I mean, they just shipped out Cameron Maben for some prospects. But you know what? This is still a young team. This is still a team that's going to start building for the future. We're going to start seeing better things from guys like Casey Mize and Tariq Skubal, who are still young. They're still getting their feet underneath them. But, you know, this is a Tigers team that's going to be one to watch, at least in the next couple of years.
Yeah, no doubt about that, Dave. The only way to go is up for this team. Hey, Chris, over at Pick Dogs, what do you have going on? Top of the hour, we got 14 games from the major sports.
As I said on the morning show, it's my favorite day of the week. 2 for Tuesday. I can't even get my days of the week right. I'm so excited. I'll tell you. I got 4 plays for the MLB tonight. I've got 3 plays for the 2 NHL games. And it's all for $29.95. Can't go wrong.
All right, guys, check him out. Chris Ruffalo over at Pick Dogs. Pick up one of his packages. You hear him every morning, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time on the morning show with Rod. And, of course, we've got Mitch and Brian Bittler. You guys go at it every morning. Have a lot to talk about tomorrow, won't you?
Oh, for sure, especially after a solid card tonight.
Absolutely. All right, Chris, it's always great having your show. Have a great night. We'll listen for you tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time.
Thank you guys for having me. Have a good night.
All right, Chris Ruffalo here on the drive-thru, joined by Dana Lane. Guys, more free picks coming. We'll take you close to about the top of the hour. Again, lots of action coming up here on the show. I want to get your thoughts here on Dana, this Boston-Toronto game. They're in progress. I know some of you people like to make in-game wagers. And wow, what was your opinion here at what we saw in Game 1 between the Celtics and the Raptors?
Well, there's a lot of depth on Boston, that's for sure. I mean, even if you didn't watch the game, you could open up their box score and realize, man, all 5 of the starters contributed and had major contributions. It wasn't like, it was 2 or 3 like it is on most teams. Even Tice had Daniel Tice had a big game. He was, playing strong down low, got to the rim. Got to the free throw line where he knocked down all his free throws. And that's the one thing in the postseason, whether we're talking about the NBA or the NHL, I look for depth. And the Celtics have multiple players that can take over games at the end. So if they take apart Toronto and win this series, with the combination of the amount of guys that they can go to at any time and their ability to play clamp down defense, wouldn't surprise me as if they dismiss Toronto.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. A lot of critics out there are critical of Toronto's play in the half court with no Kawhi Leonard. You can definitely see the difference now as you go deeper in the playoffs.
Well, and not only that, I mean, there was absolutely nothing available on the perimeter. I mean, that is, Boston was extremely aggressive. Anybody that would, want to pick apart their defense against Toronto in Game 1, you could say their perimeter defense, it was top notch. And if their perimeter defense is shutting down Toronto and forcing them to go inside, especially early in the offensive sequence, I think it's going to be lights out for Toronto, and it may be easy. Yeah,
could be. All right, welcome guys back to the drive-thru. Bottom of the hour, we have another half-hour show, and we'll get more free picks coming. We got our Pick Dogs ready to come on. Let's go to another one right now. Let's bring in El Ninos. You can find him over on Pick Dogs Premium side. El, how you doing this afternoon? Of course, you're keeping an eye on that. I know you're an NBA fan. You're keeping an eye on that Toronto-Boston game that's in progress.
Yeah, pretty good one so far. Just a 2-point game right now, and hope it's a good one the rest of the way. It should be. So yeah, definitely tuning into that one.
Absolutely, of course. I know you're a big Laker fan. We can see Kobe Bryant back there. And your thoughts of their next round opponent?
Whoever it is, we will take care of them. That's what I think. I think Lakers going to do pretty good in this playoffs.
Yeah, you're really high hopes for this Laker team. All right, Al, I know we've got we're going to look here at a game from the National League between the Nationals and Phillies. That's going to be your free pick for today. Corbin and Nola. We see Philadelphia about $1.50. Favorite total 8.5. How do you see this one?
Yeah, it should be a pretty good pitching matchup here. Phillies sending their ace. Nola, he's been great so far this season. of course, the teams haven't played up to their potentials. They both have a lot of good players on their roster. But Philly has been playing a bit better lately, while Washington's on a 3-game losing streak, including 2 losses to the ice-cold Red Sox. Philly won both their games in their series, which was just last week, with the third one getting postponed. Corbin's been pretty good too, but Nola's just the better pitcher. And I think it's a good spot for the Phillies here again. So if there's a little juicy on the money line, I'm taking them -1 by splitting the money line and run line, and that should be around -105 or -110.
So that's how you're looking at here. You're hoping that Nola goes deep in this game, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, he's been going pretty deep in most of his games, and been doing pretty good. So I don't see why he wouldn't do that again against this Washington team that's really not been, as I said, playing as good as they could be.
I know Patrick Corbin scares off a lot of bettors, and I don't blame him. But looking at his lineup, though, if you look at the home road splits, you notice the Nationals, they do put up runs on the road. Any opinion here on this total? Or you think that Nola, it's too risky based on Nola, maybe could give you 7, maybe give 1 or 2 runs, and then you're under pressure there for the over coming in?
Yeah, the Phillies bullpen might give up a few too, but again, I don't do too many totals, but I don't know. These 2 starters could very well keep it low, at least as long as they go, and so I wouldn't really mess with this total too much. It's one that could really go either way, the way I'm looking at it, because I expect good starts, but then I don't know what the bullpen's going to do. So, yeah, again, just staying away from that total, but I really like the Phillies here.
You know, Dana, it's always tricky when you got that ace and behind them is a bad bullpen. It's always risky.
Well, the bullpen got a little bit better, hopefully, but to your point, Al, I mean, if you're hoping for Aaron Nola to go deep in this game, remember the last time he threw against the Washington Nationals. I mean, he threw 113 pitches, gave up just 2 runs and 5 hits and over 7 innings. So if the track record is anything to be leaned on, you certainly can feel good about this. But also for Patrick Corbin, I mean, his last start against the Phillies was pretty good too. So you might have 2 guys here that are going to combine for a low-scoring ball game.
Yeah, because you look at that 8.5, and of course the way you've seen them put up runs, you think, well, this looks pretty low based on the production for the Nationals on the road. Both offenses going. I know Nola's going, but you got a bullpen back there. But sometimes that line tells you something. To Dana.
Well, I mean, Victor Robles is not going to be in the lineup today. I don't know if that's going to be any kind of a line changer for in this case. But I mean, sometimes you get guys that get numbers put up just based on name value. And I know that, Nola has, I mean, he's obviously one of the better pitchers in the game, but he has not pitched well historically against the Nationals. Now, we don't want to lean on that too much, but, there is, over a course of time, I mean, he's had over 10 starts against the Nationals, and his ERA is well over 4. So, I think a lot of times guys get numbers put on them based upon name value, but not really based upon what they've done in the past.
Absolutely. All right, Al, over at Pick Dogs, we're about 25 minutes at the top of the hour. That's when we're going to have 14 games for the major sports to bet on. So, Al, what do you have going on at Pick Dogs? I know you've been doing very well.
Yeah, I have MLB 5-pack, and then I have NHL play as well.
All right, awesome, guys. So check out Al Nino's over at Pick Dogs. Pick up one of his packs for tonight's action. As I said, 14 games to bet on. Al, it's always great having your show. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.
All right, thanks again for having me.
All right, here joined. Thank you very much, Al. Here with Dana Lane. We're going to continue our conversation here. Now, look at this NBA Game 1 here between the Bucks and the Heat. The Heat get the win here. Continue the roll. Were you on the Dogs last night?
No, I'm on the MLB a little bit more, but I can tell you this. Listening to a lot of Milwaukee radio and guys around the team, they were really scared about this matchup against the Heat, and their fears really came to fruition as Miami really had their way. They are. I will say one thing about the Heat, and Spoelstra loves to do this. There's a script for the first 3 to 5 minutes of the game. It is get out and shoot the ball and try to find that rhythm before we even start trying to dominate the paint and get the ball inside. And I think Milwaukee, everything that they feared about going into this series happened in game one. And I think the first half of game two is going to be very important for them mentally to be able to stay in this series, or, Miami might be on their way to an upset.
Yeah, it could be. All right, here on the drive-thru, I'm Tony T, joined by Dana Lane, and with all the pick dogs joining us today, giving you free picks. That's what our show is about. It's guest-driven, fast-paced with free picks throughout the hour here on our show, and we'll continue on. Let's go ahead and bring Shane Mickle. You can find him over at Pick Dogs. Shane, how you doing this afternoon, evening?
Good. Just enjoying the start of this NBA game. How about you guys?
Hey, can't complain. I love this this schedule. Games in the afternoon, even in the bubble, we're getting games morning, noon, and night. It was almost like every day was like a Saturday from college football.
Yes, for sure. I kind of miss those day games when they were starting at 1 o'clock Eastern or whatever time they were starting. Gave a little something to do during the afternoons.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I know, Shane, you're going to come in with a play here. I think we got across that. I think you wanted the late night NBA game, but this I know this Reds game is going to go off here pretty soon. We got about 5 minutes to first start. Maybe we can get both games from you, okay? Why don't we start off with this Cardinal and Reds?
Yeah, this Cardinals and Reds games, we got two good pitchers on the mound, Sonny Gray, and I don't know how to pronounce the other guy's name, but we'll just call him Kim. And I think it's going to be tough for both bats to get going, and I like the under here, especially at 8.5.
Yeah, especially that number with both teams, with both pitchers in good form. All right, we got 5 minutes to first pitch. We got some time here for Game 2 of this NBA playoff. Of course, the exciting series between the Utah Jazz and Denver Nuggets. We're seeing the game lined here, Utah -1. I'm seeing the -1 in some places for Denver, but the total here that opened at 220.5 down to 217.5. How do you see this one?
I really like the Nuggets in this one. I mean, it's Donovan Mitchell versus Jamal Murray, and I'm going to take Murray. The way he's closed the last two games, I don't know how you bet against him.
Yeah, he's been playing very, very well here. And I know the conversation earlier, Shane, was been on this total because we saw the total go from 220.5 to 217.5. And, of course, you look at the shooting percentages, you look at the numbers, and, you think they're going to start playing defense because it's Game 7. They haven't, there hasn't been much played. It's been over in 5 of the 6 games in this series. But I know you looked at a certain side, but did you take a peek at the total? Did you give any thought to it when you were handicapping this game?
Yeah, I do have my premium play is on the total. But yeah, I don't know how you bet about against what they've been doing, and they've all been going over. So we'll give you a free premium play here, and I'll take the over.
Yeah, I take it you're young. You probably didn't see much NBA in the 80s or 90s or 2000s. That probably helps you. That probably helps you quite a bit. Yeah. Because the old school thinking is, Game 7s always go under. You always got to play Game 7s under. But you new schoolers, you weren't around to see those.
Right. Well, and it seems that the bettors are definitely on the under, but I think that's just opening up more value for us people betting the over.
No doubt about that. Shane Mickle joined us here on the drive-thru with his pick. Shane, I know a good night today of action in NBA, 2 NHL, 2 baseball. What do you got over at Pick Dogs? I know you're doing very well up there.
Yeah, I got a 3-pack. I guess I already gave my NBA play, but it's got my top NHL play and my top MLB play in it. Otherwise, I think I have 3 more MLB games. So if you only get my day package, that's the best bang for your buck.
All right, guys, check out Shane Mickle over at Pick Dogs. He does very well. You hear him on our show, Drive Through. And Shane, you're following this NHL series. What's your thoughts so far of the playoffs?
It's been exciting. It's been weird with no fans, but I think the series has been really good. I think better hockey than I actually expected. I figured by this point some teams would want to go home, but everyone's fighting. Last night, the Avs down, they could easily folded. No issues with them folding last night.
Yeah, no doubt about that. No issues at all. We're coming down here in the final closing seconds here between Boston and Toronto. 50-45 is the score. Boston up, so a little low scoring here in the second quarter. And we'll see how this one ends up. And we'll see if we can get a halftime line here for the halftime of this one. We're down under 30 seconds now on this one. All right, Shane, as always, great having you in the show. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk to you in a couple days.
Sounds good. Have a good night, you guys.
All right, that was Shane Mickle here joined us here on the drive-thru. All right, Shane, get your thoughts here on this Game 7 between the Rockets and Thunder. But with this seesaw game last night, and it hits the game center. I thought the break kind of hurt the Thunder's momentum in game number 5, and we saw the blowout. And of course, OKC as they're able to bounce back.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Chris Paul needs to take over this next game. I mean, that's all there is to it. He's got to be the Chris Paul old. He's got to, get his looks, create spacing. He's got to, dish the ball, just be Chris Paul, because at points he kind of disappears a little bit. This may be the end of the road for the Houston Rockets. I guess there's rumors out there that D'Antoni might be even going to Indiana. James Harden's been great defensively. Matter of fact, one thing I love about Harden is, we all know what he can do on the offensive side of the ball, of the court, but defensively, I think that's really where he's become better, and really that's where I think he's even more of an asset for the Rockets. They blew leads in games 3, 4, and 6, and I don't think they're going to blow another one. I think they're going to win this game.
All right, joined here with Dana Lane here on the drive-through. We've hit the halftime here between the Raptors and the Boston Celtics, and we'll see if we get a second half line here. Actually, I'm getting a text here. What do we got here? Okay, we're waiting on the line here for the Raptors and Boston. 50-48 is your halftime score here, and we'll get that second half line, maybe an opinion on that one. But I want to go ahead right now and give you my pick for tonight. We're going to go back to Major League Baseball. And then we'll bounce back to the second half line in this Raptors and Celtics game. It's I'm going to take the Giants and the Rockies. I'm going to take the plus money here, plus 100 on the San Francisco Giants. I just like their current form right now, and I want to make sure. Yeah, we're right on that one. Okay, so yes, I'm going to go ahead and take the Giants. 3 earned runs or fewer allowed by Gosman in 6 of his 8 starts. The Giants, they've won 9 of 12, but John Gray is kind of a bet against him. On the road, we've seen the issues here with Gray this year, not performing. The Rockies bullpen has not been good. ERA over 8 at home, and Rockies on this homestand only average 2.5 runs per game. I'm going to kind of write the Giants here at plus the 100. All right, Dana, your thoughts here on this NL West race? Of course, we're seeing the Dodgers up there. Padres made some moves here yesterday.
Yeah, it was a race to get the second half line. I was trying to find it myself, and I'm afraid to touch anything due to the fact my computer might just go completely down. But anyway, yeah, I'm sure you'll have it in a second. Even in this series, if we're still talking about the Giants in Colorado, I mean, this is a Colorado team that won 3 of 4 earlier from the Giants, but all the games were close. In fact, the run differential between the two teams in that 4 games was only 21-16. John Gray, to me, has been a decent starter over his career, but he does have the benefit of playing in Coors Field. And I don't think, unless they got the run support for him, that his record would be as good. But he has had a lot of success in Colorado. This is a Colorado team, Tony. I don't know how you feel about him, but really early on, I was pretty excited about him. But of course, we had to find out, were they going to be able to get over the Dodger hump? Were they even going to be able to get over the Padre hump early on in the season? I mean, those seem to be the 2 teams that they had to jump over. But great start, but unfortunately, since then, they just have not been playing well.
No, they haven't. A game I want to get your thoughts here on. I think it's a really intriguing matchup here in the AL Central is the White Sox at the Twins. And, of course, Keuchel were the listed against Michael Pineda coming off that suspension list. And, this White Sox team, they've been playing well. The winners of 10 of 12. We just saw the Twins drop 6 in a row. They looked terrible in their last series. So your thoughts on this White Sox-Twins matchup? Yeah,
this is the first time that they've lost 6 games in a row under Rocco Baldelli. And, honestly, if you look at Michael Pineda, you may say, depending on how you look at things, I mean, if you look at the Michael Pineda of last year, Pineda was probably the Twins' best pitcher. And if you look at him, coming into this game, you might say, well, we don't know how long he's going to go. We don't know if we can rely on him. I will say this. It has been reported that he's thrown around 94, 95 in the alternative side. So, I mean, he is throwing hard. I just love the Minnesota Twins. And I think, they lost the game last night after blowing a lead. I might want to go and grab, and I don't want to lay this amount of juice, and it's not going to be on my card. But if I had to pick in this game, I might go grab the 1.5 with Minnesota. Dallas Keuchel has not pitched well at Target Field over his career. This may be a spot where I want to get involved with Minnesota, but not without getting the 1.5.
All right, we're looking here at a game here. Get your thoughts on this Indians and Royals contest. You've got Plesac on the mound. Harvey is going for KC, but a lot of unders with this Indians team. Plesac's put up some good numbers. If you're an unders player and you've been riding this Cleveland under, you just got to hope Harvey can get out of there, giving up 3 runs, and the KC bullpen, which has performed better than expected, may keep this this game under.
Well, don't you have to cross your fingers that Harvey can get into the 3rd inning, because the 1st and 2nd inning has not been his issue. It's been the 3rd inning that Harvey has really struggled in, and really doesn't even kind of make sense if you have the first couple innings, you're not even getting to the back of the top end of the lineup, but maybe the top 6 are telling the bottom 3 what's going on, and maybe that's why they're finding success. Zach Plesac is going to get the start tonight. Of course, he's going to start in place of Mike Clevenger, who was dealt to San Diego. And the one thing you have to also determine, maybe this is a no get involved game. Are you going to back a Plesac that hasn't pitched in almost a month? I mean, it's in a week it will be a month, so I guess it'll be 3 weeks. But would you back a Plesac in that case? Yeah, his numbers have been good from what little we've seen so far, but I just don't know. There's too many dynamics in this game. I don't want anything to do with Matt Harvey, and I don't want anything to do with Plesac until I know what Zach Plesac that we have. Now, if we have the Zach Plesac that has 24 Ks in 21 innings, yeah, I mean, that might be a good look. But if you had to get involved, again, I see plus money, plus 1.5 with Kansas City. That would be the way I would go.
All right, we're gonna get a second half line here momentarily on this Raptors Red Sox. But one game before we go, Raptors Celtics. Before we go to that, I want to get your thoughts on Braves and Red Sox here. Is this like a run line play with Ian Anderson against Weber, who has just been torched this year?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a run line play, and I've been heavy on the run lines lately just because we've been having a lot of success. But Ian Anderson's a guy that I kind of know a lot. He went to my high school in upstate New York, Clifton Park, New York, Shenandoah High School. And, he's a guy that had a tremendous amount of success his first outing against the Yankees, threw well. But now we got a book on him. And I know that, bettors are going to say, I can see the percentages right now of number of bets coming in on the Atlanta Braves. I mean, guys, it's not that easy all the time. And I think as much as you progress, sometimes guys that don't have good first outings, and they get into their second outing, and you think there's going to be a lot of progress with them, versus their first. I think it also goes the other way too. I think after you have a good first outing, a lot of times you might want to go back and go against on the second in the second go around. But for the Braves, as far as their pitching staff is concerned, if you're not a guy that's named Max Fried, I mean, their pitching staff is just 1-10 this season with an ERA of over 7. So this Braves staff is not somebody I really want to, not a team I want to get involved in. Again, I would go Boston run line if I had to choose.
All right, joined here with Dana Lane here on the drive-through. I've got an opener here for the second half, Boston and Toronto. It opened up here with Toronto laying 3. And the total sits at 111. Of course, this is really fluid, right? There'll be a lot of movement here in the first minute or two, Dana, as this line opened.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely will. I mean, I don't get involved with the halftimes too much because I try not to have too much involved. I just want to be solid with what I do put out. But a lot of times, I just tend to go the opposite of what happened in the first half, and especially when we're talking about the NBA. I can't tell you how many times we've seen one thing happen through 24 minutes, and then the next 24 minutes is a completely different ballgame, as if these two teams haven't played a previous 24 minutes. So that's kind of what I would look at if I had to choose a side on this. But really too much for me to get involved in. I just want to stay solid with what I have.
Yeah, we saw 98 points put up in the first half, and the way the Celtics are playing defense right now, they kind of was with that tie because Toronto came in with the rush. They got, I think they were up 7 early, and then Boston got back into it. And it's been kind of their pace here where it's been really low scoring in the first half. I got a total here of 111. I'd probably look to the under with the second half play here with Toronto and Boston, only because I like the way the Celtics are defending. I'm a little concerned here, Dana, with Toronto's half-court offense.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the number now too. What number did you have? Because I had Toronto 110.5. Is that what you have?
Yeah, that's what it's. I saw the opener, and then it has moved. Yeah, it has moved to the under.
I see at the Westgate it's 110.5. I don't know. I mean, Toronto. This has got to be their best half of basketball, doesn't it, Tony? I mean, this really is going to separate this series. This half of basketball. It's. If Toronto goes down 2-0 in this series, I mean, the series is essentially over. So you would figure this next 24 minutes of basketball is going to be the best that you're going to see from Toronto. And if you don't see that from Toronto, then they would definitely be a go against for the rest of the series.
Yeah, that's true. And of course, Toronto looks around, their main guys on the Clippers right now, and Boston was in this situation against the Philadelphia 76ers, and they were able pretty much to shut the door in 2 and in 3 and got the closeout win in 4. So Boston defensively, they've got the form here I think that will carry them defensively. And you can see Nurse. I mean, I could tell just with his body language in that game 1 how concerned he was, because you just saw him going crazy on the sideline.
Yeah, body language is so big. I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of what I do is where does the psychological edge lie? And is a team, obviously Team A might be better than Team B, but does Team A, are they really getting up for Team B? I mean, we're looking at that in a lot of the Pirates games, and believe me that the Pirates are not a team that's going to quit, even though they don't have the tools. They're not going to quit. So you can get them at a lot of plus money situations where they come up to bite teams. And like we said earlier, they should have beaten Milwaukee this weekend. You could have got a couple of nice plus money winners there. You did get one, but in these situations, the psychological aspect in any sport, you can apply that to any pitcher or any teams. I think that's my first stop when I'm going to determine which side that I'm leaning towards to start my handicapping process.
All right, you mentioned the Pirates, so we're going to tell you what the top of the hour here. They're going to go against the Cubs. Lester and Cool, big line here. Cubs open 150 now up to 168, 175 in some spots. Total sits here at 9.5, but Cool as a pitcher has put up some pretty good numbers.
Yeah, he throws hard. He's like most of the Pirate pitching, and I've been very critical of their pitching coaches over the last few years. When they're pitching well and when they're the fastball location is huge for that team. They're a very fastball oriented team, and then secondary pitches after that. But Cool's a kid that I liked him. He reminded me a lot of Nick Birdie, who's not with Pittsburgh anymore, but he reminded me of Birdie quite a bit. His ERA's at 2.5. Of course, we don't have a lot of games under his belt, but they are activating Keith Brian Hayes today, which is a big deal in the Pirates organization. This is a guy that kind of toiled around in Indianapolis for a little bit. They are going to bring him up now. He is more defense than he is glove, but just that little bit of an inspiration in the clubhouse for guys that probably should have had a chance a little bit earlier. But now they're getting the chance. Now that the Pirates certainly know that they're out of the running, but these guys can come in and they don't know that they're supposed to lose. I mean, the Indianapolis Indians program team down in the International League has been fantastic over the past 3 to 5 years. They've won ball games. So these guys coming up are not expected to lose. And for John Lester, a guy who certainly has the name value over Cool. But if you look at his past 6 outings, I mean, he's had at least one base runner in each of his last 5 innings, including multiple runners in 3 innings. His past outing. So he's not a guy that keeps guys off of bases. And I would also say, guys, don't wager on names. When you're looking at John Lester versus Chad Cool, Obviously, John Lester is the sexier of the two. But to me, if I was going to get involved in this, again, I'd take that 1.5 and I'd lay $1.10. I think that's the better value here.
Yeah, and also, too, I mean, when I looked at that, I said there's no way I could look at the Cubs side. I mean, Lester, I don't know how much you look into these advanced stats, but Lester, he's pitching almost a 47% hard contact this year. His velocity now is dipped under 90s. His velocity is 89 miles per hour, and that's usually a trouble sign when you get under 90. That means it's almost your tickets out of baseball.
Yeah, and absolutely that hard contact percentage in velocity, velo, rate off the bat, all those things, those are very important. It's really hard, Tony. I mean, to go through everybody, but when you're trying to focus on one game, those are certainly numbers that I get into because, you got guys on the Pirates that are, hitting, like Brian Reynolds, not last year's almost batting title winner, not hitting the ball for average this year, but the velocity off his bat is decent. Josh Bell, the velocity off his bat, not so good. So even though, you're saying, well, Josh Bell is arguably the better of the two players, I think the numbers really tell you which one is hitting the ball a little bit better. Even Jorge Polanco, he's crushing the ball. His average doesn't reflect it, but the ball, his velo, his exit velocity is extremely high. Don't get caught up too, because the Cubs made some moves. Cameron Maybin is a nice move. Don't get caught up in a team that just makes moves. I usually apply this to the NHL a little bit more because it takes a little bit for a cohesive line to come together. But don't just think just because guys are, look, the Cubs, got some guys in here that could hit some left-handed pitching. They got some, they got more stability in the lineup. They also added some left-handed relief, which is huge, which I know that they really wanted to do. That's what Jed Hoyer said he wanted to do. Don't get so involved in the moves. I'd rather have a team like the Pirates that, they're horrible, but they didn't make any moves and they're stable at this point until you know what the moves are going to mean to the Chicago Cubs.
All right, guys, that's Dana Lane here, and that's the information you'll get here on our show. Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time is a drive-through. We gave you a bunch of picks at the top of the hour. Reminder, tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, it's the morning show with Mitch. Of course, he'll have his guys on there, Brian Bittler, Chris Ruffalo, Rod Z as well. So be sure to tune in to that show. In closing, Dana, what's your thoughts here as we head into the top of the hour? And we've got, 14 games going off.
Well, my thoughts are I've got to go see my kids because I know that they want to know where the heck I've been all day. But, guys, just know that every handicapper on this site puts a lot of time into these selections. So make sure that you get on the site, get involved with your favorite handicapper, and ride them because there's a lot of work that goes behind every single one of those selections.
Absolutely, guys. So tune in tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern Time for another edition of The Drive-Thru. We got all the pick dogs on screen. We'll save you a wave. Good night. Good luck to you guys. It's time to watch the games and win those bets. Talk to you guys tomorrow.